if I didn't sound like an idiot, that'd be great.
Yeah.
I feel like half the time I listen to this on my way home, which I don't, and I sound like an idiot.
Yeah,
you
I
know?
for sure can't
Like right
edit
now.
out
Just
that
stop
you're an idiot.
talking. You're still talking. Just
You
stop
can't
talking.
take it out. Like, you're saying that you can't remove idiot from his feed?
Yeah, I've tried. It
It's
doesn't
like
work.
permanent.
You're listening to the Bent Motorsports Podcast with the owner of Bent Motorsports, David Beckett, and his crew, Jacob Hunsinger, James Hernandez, and Jake Russo. Listen in as the guys discuss all things motorsports, including tech tips and current shop projects.
All right, guys, let's get this podcast going. We have Josh from Xville Off-Road is his Instagram. And what is your YouTube, Josh?
Same thing. Xville Off-Road.
Xville Off-Road. So he has a, what year is your jail?
2018.
A 2018 four-door Rubicon. And we did a lift on it today, so we'll talk about that. But more importantly, he does videos on YouTube, and he just posts up some cool stuff on Instagram. And it's all pretty much just his personal experience getting into the Jeep game and figuring out what stuff he likes and what stuff he doesn't like. Sometimes it's just nice to go watch a video or see a review on something as simple as a phone holder. And that's pretty much what you're focused on right now. But today we did a big job, and we actually took your Jeep to the next level.
Yeah, far beyond what I am capable of doing. I was very impressed coming down here and the guys you have working for you, and it's you can tell that there's a passion for what you guys do, and you take care into taking care of people's vehicles, especially when people are spending so much money on these things. But I guess the real big thing is like to have the trust to go, it's going to be right, and I'm not going to have to worry about how much collateral damage is going to come from something not being done correctly from your
Right.
shop. And, and you have to be able to trust that people are knowing what they're doing with that kind of stuff, because not everybody can go and throw on a lift and go down the road and trust that, you're not going to just burn through your tires right away or,
Right.
cause a massive accident. I mean, cool, we can go off road with these things, but you drive it down the highway and, putting yourself at risk or others at risk sometimes.
Or your family, right? So that's true. And we know there's a lot of people out there who are super capable of putting on lift kits and modifying their Jeeps. There's a lot of people who are not capable of doing that, and they come to us. And then there's people who are not capable of doing it, and they do it themselves, and they have a lot of issues. And then ultimately, we try to help them get their stuff down the road. So I'm hoping that what this video, Josh is going to put together a quick video for his YouTube page to show the work we did today, so that anybody out there who's thinking about maybe I can do it myself, maybe I do know how to turn a wrench, but I'm just a little nervous, that you can do it yourself. And then if you do have problems, then you can always come to a shop like ours to help you get it finished up, or you might even have to go get an alignment somewhere. But we will also be putting out, Bent Motorsports will be putting out a how-to alignment video at a future date. So keep listening to the podcasts, and that way you'll be updated on when we put those videos out. But let's go into a little bit of, we have the Jakes here as well. So it's just the Jakes, myself, and Josh today. But let's go into how we actually met, Josh, because that was like 2 years ago. And it was kind of a fun story.
Man, so I buy my Wrangler, and I went from a 2015 6-inch lift on a short bed F-150. So it was their V6 with the twin turbo in it. And I got tired of turning that thing like it was a bus, right? Like I was really happy with the truck, but it was just a bus to turn, even with a short bed. So I was like, I got to get out of this game, and I really wanted to see these new Jeeps when they were coming out. So it comes out, and I'm like, that thing's gonna be awesome. And on top of that, you can pretty much do whatever you want and still maintain your turn radius. So I buy one in June of 2018. Was at the beginning of August. My family and myself went to Big Bear. And I was like, hey, there's some trails up there. I have no idea about these trails. Go to these trails and then get up to Gold Mountain. And we get to like the entrance basically of Gold Mountain right after you do a little bit of just snaking back and forth across the trail. And I was like, oh, I'm not going up that. Like I'm gonna get stuck right there. and I was like, no, we're gonna turn around. So that's when I ran across you crazy guys and your group of off-roaders. So what you guys had 3 different vehicles out there,
Yeah.
which consisted of yourself, and I'm not sure who had the SUV, because I think there was an SUV with us or with you guys.
Yeah, I'm not sure. There was a group right in front of us as well,
Right.
so that could have been confusing with that group. I don't remember who exactly. It was such a long time ago. I don't remember who was with us on that one.
yeah.
I know Brian was with us. I'm not
Right.
sure if Marty was with us or if Ken was there.
I
Was there a
definitely
scout
remember.
there?
I just remember you and Brian.
Yeah. Well, we were the ones
Yeah.
because you
Okay.
came up right behind us, me and Brian. So I think you stayed back with us, and there was the rest of our group, and then a whole nother group in front of us.
Oh, okay. So that's why. So I'm getting ready to turn around, and Brian walks up to me, just like, "Hey, stranger," right? Like the whole Jeeper thing, right? And then,
Well, and it was a brand new JL,
yeah, and
right?
he's like, "Hey," he is like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "I'm not going up that." And he
I think you asked us, "Can I turn around right here?"
Yeah, he's like, he goes, no, he goes, we'll get you through this. We'll make it. I'm like, this is gonna make it through that, right? And that was just the beginning. That was just this little
Yeah.
wall,
Yeah.
right? And he's like, oh, absolutely. So the whole time we're going through this trail, these guys, they hand me a radio, and they're talking to me back and forth, and then Brian would get out and guide me, and
Yep.
we get up these obstacles, and it was like every obstacle is one after the other. It was just they're just kind of bigger. One's bigger, and then the next one's a little bigger. And you're like, the next one's a little bigger, and the next one's got a tree. And you're like, I'm gonna break this. This is a brand new. I'm like, man, I've like made one payment on this thing. I guess this is gonna be great. I said, oh, what happens if I get stuck? And one of the dudes, I don't remember who it was. He goes, oh, you just roll it down the hill.
Yeah, well,
I guess it's a good thing I got gap insurance.
Well,
But
Yeah, just tip it over. Well, now you guys got to paint. Let me paint a little bit of more of a picture here for you. So imagine this brand new Jeep on the trail, and he has his wife, and he has 2 children with him.
3.
One was three. Yeah, 3 children with
3.
you. One of them,
Yeah.
which was only months old, in a car seat.
No, he looked like he was months old, but he was just past a year.
Okay, so you
a
had a
year in October,
1-year-old.
and this was August.
So what were the age of the 3 kids with you?
So 3, 1.5-ish, and 9.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
your wife.
Yeah.
And we're up in front of you going, no, it'll
Yeah.
be fine. Let's go. And I'm like, this guy's getting divorced.
You look in the back seat, you go, "Ooh, didn't know you have kids. Sorry, yeah,
Oh.
you should have turned around a long time ago."
My daughter's white knuckling this, like scared, like I don't ever want to go off roading again. Like, and I was like, wasn't that bad? Like, we made it.
Yeah,
Can
boy.
we not do that again?
Yeah, Gold Mountain is a good beginner run, so it was good for you to go on that.
Beginner run, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Beginner run.
Yeah.
That's not a beginner run on a. I don't care. We call it a Rubicon or not. That's not a beginner run on a Rubicon. If you don't have somebody that knows what they're doing guiding you on that, you are not gonna get through it. It's just you're just not.
If you didn't turn around, do you think you would have made it through?
Absolutely not.
Got it.
No.
Interesting.
I'm.
But how stoked were you when we got to the other side?
Oh, it was more like I could breathe.
Relief.
It was
It's
yeah.
relief.
I was like just clenched the whole time, like like just heart going, like every time we're going. Oh my god, I can't believe we made it through that one too. Jesus.
Gee,
Christ.
how did you feel when we got to the rock garden?
That was cool. That was pretty cool because the rock garden's very unique because you drive across it, and I mean you guys had your lifted vehicles with your much larger tires than mine, and it's like you're kind of driving across glass almost with the noises that it's makes. But man, most of those rocks are pretty massive. You don't
Yeah.
really realize it, but they're all compiled together.
And if you picked the right line, you probably noticed, and Brian probably took you through the line where it's pretty smacked down and
Right.
it looks horrible, but when you drive through it, it's not terrible.
Right.
And then, of course, none of us took that line. You probably saw us going all sort of goofy ways because
uh,
we don't want to, we were, I don't know. We try to get stuck.
nah, you
Sorry,
guys,
sorry,
you
not
guys were-
stuck.
you guys were-
Temporarily delayed.
Yeah.
You guys were doing stuff that I was just, oh, I don't know if I'm gonna make it through this. And then we came to that one obstacle, right? And it was like several large boulders, like
Right.
several large
Right.
boulders, and I high centered on it,
Yep.
and then it was like I don't think I'm gonna be able to get through this, right? And even you guys had that look like,
Well,
And then
we were just thinking, are we going to have to actually winch him up this, or can
Right,
we actually
yeah.
get him through it?
And so, and then I backed off. I ended up backing off. I wasn't extremely high centered, but it wasn't like I was not getting past that one point.
Right.
So I backed up, and then I looked to my right, and it was like, hey, what's that? And it was just kind of like a dirt trail. It like
Yeah.
bypassed it.
Yep.
And it was, I mean, it's very close. So it was like right between trees. You barely fit, but I was like, I think I could make it up that.
Yeah.
You know, and so sure enough, went up that side. I think that was the only cheater part that I actually had to get through. But there was no way that the clearance was from whatever that line was. It
I
wasn't gonna clear
remember.
it.
I remember that section, and I remember it from other people going through it. The rear tires had like dug out these big craters behind the rocks, and you definitely didn't have the clearance you needed, being a 4-door,
Right.
to get through it. So, but it was cool that you tried. Right. The point is that you tried it, figured out it wasn't going to work without doing some major damage. So back up, do the little side pass trail, and move on. If you had just chosen the side pass trail right out of the gate, then
That's a different story.
Yeah, then we would have given you some shit. But you,
Well, I mean, at the same time, like, it's a $56,000 vehicle, and you're like, oh.
yeah, it should make it to the top. It costs a lot of money.
they call it a Rubicon. It could go through the Rubicon, like, yeah, and then never do anything else after that.
Yeah, it'll
I
get
mean-
through there at least once.
At least once.
Just dies on the other end.
Yeah. Well, now so today, let's go over the laundry list of what the Jeep got done today. So it got a Dynatrac 2-inch lift, which consisted of new coils and Fox shocks. And then you got,
So that was their Enduro Sport 2-inch lift.
okay, Enduro Sport
Yeah,
2-inch
that's what
lift.
they call it. And then the TerraFlex Alpine line of control arms and a Steer Smarts front adjustable track bar, and then a Synergy rear adjustable track bar, and that combined with the brake line relocation for the back for the rear. And what else was on there? I think that was about it, right?
Yeah, and I really like that Synergy e-brake cable relocation kit. That thing was slick and was like a 10-minute install.
Right.
And it really made all the difference. It takes those e-brake cables from going over the top of the rear cross member to letting them go under the rear cross member. And you only did a 2-inch lift on your Jeep, and you needed that. So anybody
Yeah.
out there, for sure buy that.
And it's like a $20 part, which is
Yeah,
like
$20
totally
part
worth
and
it.
10 minutes to put it in.
Right.
Yeah, no, that's super easy. I was really impressed with just the quality of the control arms too. They have these like nice billet little
The
clamps on the end of them, and just the bushings seem pretty hardy, and just all around they seem like really nice parts. So hopefully that'll make a pretty. I mean, with how low of miles you have, it's not going to make much of a difference, but durability wise in the long term, I don't think you'll be changing those things out for a while.
No, they look
know.
good. And that Synergy, I like that rear track bar, man. It was just real clean.
Yeah,
And the
Yeah,
double
definitely.
adjuster, the little
makes a
so
world of a
awesome.
difference.
You don't have
where
to take it
yeah,
out each time, make a couple turns, put it back in. Oh, nope, doesn't work. Like, take
Yep.
it out again.
Right.
Yeah.
Bitching.
Yeah, so I ended up going with Synergy because Steer Smarts doesn't have a rear adjustable track bar at this point. So it makes me wonder how they're going to design their rear one, knowing that, Synergy has their line like that. I wonder if they model it similar to that based on how efficient it is instead of having that big knuckle in the middle.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
big knuckle was a pain.
Right.
That
let
thing
me
is
tell you.
heavy, dude.
You
That
guys
thing
did an
was
amazing
heavy
job
duty.
installing this.
Yeah,
I mean,
thank you.
You really did. It's evident that what you guys are doing here, Dave, is really taking care of the customer and really taking care of their vehicles, so that it's not even about them coming back as much. I mean, it's just naturally going to happen because of what you guys are doing, but it's that you guys are doing that so they don't have to come back.
Right.
And that's, I think, the like value in it is like, hey, like, you're going to come here once, and there really shouldn't be any reason for you to be like, oh, I'm going to have to go and return visit.
Right.
That's a good feeling, especially if you travel from somewhere like I have, 100 miles come
Yeah.
down here and like, hey, like, trust you with the vehicle, but then I'm not gonna have to make another trip down here because, like, hey guys, this is kind of off.
Right.
You took the time to make sure it was right. Hey, go test drive it, make sure it's good. Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, which is our goal, right? Obviously, we want to treat every car that comes in here like it was our car, right? Like, what would I do if this was my car? Would I double check this or triple check this? Probably, yeah, because it's my car, so I would do that. Now, the Jakes have a little different philosophy
Yeah, see,
than
I
me.
was just about to cut you off
And-
because I'm like, yeah, it looks all right. Let's just
Yeah.
do that, But
So-
that's my own vehicle. I'm the one driving it down the freeway.
Right,
Edie.
so that's Russo. Now, Hunsinger, his philosophy is, I go wheeling with all these people. I don't want to have to fix it on the trail, so I better do a damn good job in the shop because otherwise I'm going to have to fix it on John Bull next weekend when this guy goes with us out wheeling.
So what you're saying is when you call out sick, the one of the Jakes, we can't identify them by
No.
looks, but one of the Jakes is not going to be in charge.
Correct. One is
right.
not going to be in charge.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a combined effort.
that's exactly right.
I mean, no, but you guys work great as a team, and I have zero doubts that it's going to be everything that I want it to be. And you guys took the time to do a JL that you guys haven't done yet. And honestly, like it drives great. It still feels just as normal as it did from OEM, and it's just a little bit higher.
Yeah. Well, you bought good parts. Let's be honest, right? The parts you chose were the correct parts.
Right.
And when you guys watch his video, he's going to make a video about it on YouTube. So be sure to go find that. You'll see the parts, and you'll realize that what we like is adjustability. We want everything to be adjustable so we can put the Jeep right where we want it, which is what we did. We probably spent, I don't know, you guys probably spent as much
3
time
hours.
adjusting the Jeep as you did installing all the components onto the Jeep.
It takes some time. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
so-
one of those things you want to
yeah.
get right.
It's a half a day for us to break it down and put all the new parts on, and it's another half a day for us to tweak all the control arms and the alignment and everything to get it where we want it.
So that said, you know, I know it's a big deal for a lot of people to drop the kind of money that you do for labor to have a vehicle worked on and done that way. But this is the big thing, is if you really don't know what you're doing and you're going to put this stuff onto your vehicle, like I've seen so many people do, and if you actually know what you're looking at, you'll see the flaws in what they've done, whether it's not having adjustable track bars or not having adjustable control arms, whatever. You kind of see that the vehicle doesn't quite sit right, whether the axles are shifted to the side, which is probably the most noticeable thing that you'll see on
Right.
that. But I think the big thing is that the experience that you're bringing to this shop, and as the owner, and then having quality guys working underneath you to have this done, where it's not about pumping out truck after truck after truck,
Right.
as much as it is getting it done right, and then building that brand name reputation of doing it the right way. And not only that, but like this stuff's gonna, you're not gonna get stuck out there, and you're not gonna break down on the highway, and you're not gonna have all these wear and tear issues that break down everything else on your vehicle because it was done the right way, and that costs money. And
Right.
and it's not like we were talking about taking it to another shop that's got less experienced people, and they're pumping these vehicles out, and they've built their brand to be big enough to kind of overcome their flaws still, while they're using cheap labor, inexperience, and those people such as yourself, coming to maybe own your own shop, and right, like that's where you get your bones, right? Like that's where you're going to get your experience from.
Right.
So it's something to consider. Maybe you find a little bit cheaper labor, or you're comfortable going to this big brand name place, but as stated, some of those people don't have this experience here, and it was evident in seeing the work and then the answers that I got from asking these questions when you guys were doing this stuff. So I thank you for letting me see what you guys did to be able to understand how in depth it is, because
Right.
a lot of people don't get to see that. They're like, oh, like anybody can do that, right? And if you don't know what you're doing, those answers don't come, and then when you call them because you have a problem because it wasn't done right, they're going, oh, that's the way it was supposed to be. Right?
Right.
Deflection. Like, oh, what'd you do to your vehicle?
Yeah.
And what do you mean? Like, I was trusting that you did it right. I mean, I didn't do anything to it. It just, like, whatever else broke.
Right.
And that happens.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's cool that like in this case, right? Normally, I mean, it's not very often that we have somebody hanging over the back of us with a camera and going, "Hey, what are you doing right now?" But we've kind of done that a few times with other projects, but especially when you ask questions, right? Because when we're able to answer them right on the spot, and like I think that kind of shows something of what kind of we do and stuff like that. But it's cool to kind of be like pop quiz halfway through it and go like, oh, what are you doing now? I'm like, oh God, I'm not expecting that. Like, hold on, man. Like, give me a
Yeah.
second.
Well,
Stay on your toes, you know?
Well, think about it, right? The three of us out in the shop working together today would have had the music cranked up loud,
Mhm.
and we would all just been doing our job and not really talking about the job, because we all know what we're doing and what we want to do, right? We take for granted sometimes what we're doing because it's automatic. So it's nice. Josh is here. He's asking questions. We're like, oh, I should explain this.
Yeah.
It's good to explain it every once in a while.
Yeah, and I slowed you guys down. So, I mean, with the estimate that you said, half a day for this, then another half a day for that. I mean, honestly, you guys could have had that done in, maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours, and everything was actually on if I wasn't in your way. Like,
Yeah, I mean, you were filming. You were slowing us down a little bit on that. Not that we were worried about that. Obviously, we knew we were going to do a video, but yeah, I mean, maybe instead of it taking 8 hours, maybe it would have taken 6.
Right, which is I think actually typical. I mean, like you call someone and you ask them, hey, how long does it install? Like between 4 to 6 hours.
Yeah.
You know, depending on what it is that you're installing.
Yeah.
But I mean, this install wasn't just your basic budget boost. It wasn't just the coils and the shocks, and then maybe your end links or something like that. It was the arms, the track bars.
where everything's adjustable. And
everything got moved, right?
Yeah, and we've even had what JKs were really common, where you put a lift on them, but they keep the stock arms, and you end up having alignment issues. Like you don't have enough caster, you have too much. It was too little caster, I think, was the issue, right? And then you get these kind of weird driving characteristics, and I think Synergy actually made arms that were the right length. Like they say, all right, cool, you have a 3.5-inch lift. This is the arm you need, or else it's just going to throw everything off, But it was a fixed length.
Right.
So when you put that into consideration, it's like, okay, cool, just put this arm on. But
Right.
then you put an adjustability on it, and it's like, okay, put this arm on, but then you're going to have to tweak some shit after that, But I don't know, it's cool to see all the different companies doing different things to different parts, and when we get to do a build like that where there's quite a bit involved, Like it's not just throw these different arms on, you're done, tighten it all down, It's quite a bit more involved when you add that extra little factor into it.
Now the next one is going to be more fun, right? We got a JK in the shop right now, 2013.
Yeah, that thing's getting a full blown setup.
The 2-door 2013, and the customer wants to do a full Evo long arm with King coilovers and the whole 9. So that'll be fun. That'll be a fun build.
Mm-hmm.
We like coilovers.
It's gonna look pretty.
Yeah.
It's gonna look real
Especially
good.
with King. I mean, they're
Yeah, it's
those
all
are
Everyone
more
wants to see
fancy.
baby blue in the wheel wells.
Bling bling, man.
Yeah, that chrome and baby blue, and it's
Yeah.
like, oh, you don't have Kings? Oh, you're
Peasant.
Yeah, peasant, right? Yeah, I can't
Sorry.
wait. That's gonna be a fun one to do. So we did talk about John Bull. We're gonna go up there again.
Mm-hmm.
Jake doesn't want me to tell you the date.
Oh, you already said it, so it's fine.
Oh, okay, so it's June 27th. We're going to John Bull, and we'll be at the Gatekeeper. I don't know. We haven't discussed this.
Probably around 8:30, right?
8:30.
That's
Yeah.
a pretty reasonable time.
Because you leave around 6. It's a 2-hour drive if traffic's quiet, which it should be at that time on a Saturday.
Right.
So 2 hours up, and
So I gotta stop and go to these 2 bathroom breaks on the way. So I'll
So
be there at
9:30.
9.
yeah. Okay, so 9 o'clock we meet there.
So 9 o'clock. Let's say at 9 o'clock we're actually starting the first car through the Gatekeeper.
Mm-hmm.
Traffic permitting, because obviously there could be a bunch of other wheelers up there. But anyways, June 27th, John Bull, around 9ish. Get there early if you want, and we'll do John Bull together if you guys want to come hang out with us. Jake's gonna do it in his Explorer.
Again,
again.
redemption.
So if you
Again.
haven't watched that video, go to our YouTube channel and watch Jake doing John Bull. And we did it I think we did
opposite way.
I think it's considered the backwards way. Like
Mhm.
we ended up coming down that rock area.
That was
So
pretty.
which
That was
way-
pretty steep though. Like I remember coming down that, like legit Billy goating down it,
Yeah.
because I was like trying to watch his tie rod not snap again. And I'm just like running down this thing going, ooh.
It it went down. It's
ooh.
so easy, man. Like I went.
Yeah.
Well, you're gonna go up it now.
Yeah, I know.
But now you got a different locker.
Yeah,
end
so
now,
I
which is
replaced the
cool.
tie rods. I got the Heimed, they're the fancy billet stainless inner tie rods, which is I have just replaced after John Bull or whatever, probably maybe a month after actually. I finally replaced that inner tie rod that we welded that was for sure smoked, and I replaced both inners, both outers, and drove it on the road. Took it off road to Salton Sea. We drove around
Right,
there for a
right.
while, and it took one trip out, and the new inners were already wasted. Not as bad as they were before, they weren't bent at a 45-degree angle, but they were still smoked, and I was getting a bunch of cupping on the tires and drove with it like that for a while.
Nice. Well
Um,
done.
But then finally ponied up and got the Camberg kit, and it's a pretty bitchin' kit, man. They make some nice parts, and they definitely engineered them correctly, it seems like. So hopefully this makes a difference. We won't, what's the next weakest link? But last time I
We'll
had
find it.
shitty tie rods. I had no skid plates.
You're a little bit lower too. From
I was
what
a little bit
remember, right?
lower, yeah, because I dropped the differential after that.
Yep.
CV angles were a little out of whack. So we made a couple of tweaks and changes. I got some longer bump stops coming. Since then, I think I've raised the rear. I put
You did
in
the rear too. You did another leaf.
another leaf in
add
the
a leaf
rear.
in there.
Kind of got
And
this
hangers.
ugly bastard pack. Oh yeah, I made some custom rear hangers. F911 bolts. So I think it should hold up. We'll see. I got some more armor on it, so now I don't have to pussyfoot around like I did before. That kind of sucked.
Yeah, you were dodging rocks.
And then the locker's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
I got one of those lunchbox lockers, the Power Tracks, that get rid of. I had the carbon fiber clutch packs in the differential before, and those just weren't. They couldn't deal with it. That may be for drag racing when you got a lot of traction, but not out there. It was a waste
No.
of time. So this one's one of those steel teeth, ratcheting, disgusting, terrible.
Makes a bunch of noise.
Yeah, bad
hops on
road
you.
manners. But it'll be badass. It'll definitely help out a lot, I'm sure.
Engages halfway through a freeway on ramp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're in the rain, you're gonna drift. It's fine.
Dude, mine does that coming off a stoplight sometimes. I'll just driving normal, and it's like, oh,
Boom.
cool, light turns green. Right out of first gear, just bam! Just like nails this thing. First time I did it, I thought the drive shaft fell out. And I was
Right?
just like, oh shit, that was quite the noise.
Oh,
And-
I need Oceanside Driveline, double cardon. I gotta fix that
Oh yeah, we
drive
got to call
shaft.
those guys. And then Russo, this will be your first time in your
First
Jeep
John Bull.
on the John Bull, so that's a
Yeah.
fresh one for you.
Which,
So a rematch for Jake
Uh-huh.
and a fresh run for you.
yeah.
And if we can convince Josh to take his really, really nice
Isn't it
JL
pretty?
up there.
It's pretty though, huh?
Yeah.
I mean, it looks really nice, doesn't
looks
it? I mean,
really nice.
but that's not what Jeeps are for.
We're gonna throw all the tools in there. It's got the most room.
Yeah, yeah, I'm gonna try to make it out there. I gotta talk to the missus about it and see what she says and get that day. I know that I have the day off, so that shouldn't be
That's
an
cool.
issue. Which is nice. But yeah, I'd like to evaluate it and see if we can't get that thing on there and have some
Like I said,
intestinal fortude.
yeah, you're gonna.
Well, you're ready to go now.
Yeah, no, it's got the clearance, and that was the big thing, right? We went through that. I like vowed to not be doing a trail like Gold Mountain until I did a lift, and I didn't want to jump into the suspension and some of the parts that were available in August of 2018 because the Jeep just came out,
Smart.
and there's
Yeah.
no product development. And I've seen so many products come out that are just topping the next one or the
Yep.
last one that was made that it was like I just had to wait. And instead of dumping money into something that I'm going to regret and or want to replace because it wasn't maybe tested enough or something like that, with 2 years of product development, there's a lot of stuff out there and a lot of proven ability with some of the parts that I put on. So it wasn't just this slap in, I'm going to go put this stuff in and I just guessed right. It was looking at everybody that was doing off-roading. It was asking questions of you, it was asking questions of Brian. I mean, I went over, like at the beginning, I went over like, hey, what do you think of your Mopar lift, right? And, he's like, oh, it's great, blah, blah. And I was like, nobody wants to knock their own stuff necessarily. But so I took it into consideration. And then I even had at one point the Mopar like lift protection thing. And then I decided like, that's not what I want to put on. And it's not even worth having. And at the end of the day, screw the warranty because that's not what I want to put on my vehicle just so
Right.
I keep it in warranty and then, not be happy with it. So I ended up still going with a 2-inch lift, but the product is, far superior, I think, to any Mopar lift. And on top of that, with that product development that TerraFlex was doing with their control arms, with the product development that Synergy's always doing on their stuff, Steer Smarts makes great products. It gave time for everybody to beat the crap out of these products and then go, oh, it's standing up.
Yeah. Well, that front, that Steer Smart front track bar, adjustable track bar, the thing is burly.
Jesus
Yeah.
Christ. It's
Yeah.
forged. It's
Yeah.
a big
I mean,
forged
It's a
piece.
sledgehammer like
Yeah.
part.
Dude.
It's heavy.
I swear to God, that thing is as big around as my lower control arms on my
Dude,
Jeep.
for sure.
Yeah.
The
Yeah,
thing
yeah.
is burly.
Yeah,
I think it's like
it's-
solid too.
Yeah,
No,
it's
It was heavy, dude. Trying to lift that thing up onto there was no joke,
Yeah.
And
good
wh-
piece.
is it not relevant though to mention the parts that are coming off of a stock Rubicon? Now I get it, it's Mopar, but all that stuff felt like it was like aluminum, like
was-
hollow aluminum. Like it
Dude,
was
it's
like,
like-
how is this legal to put on a
Yeah.
vehicle?
It's
This
like
is a
09
Rubicon, right? You're supposed to be paying for the
I think
performance.
that, to be devil's advocate for Jeep here, I'll get Jeeps back on this, is that they know you're going to take all that shit off and throw it in the trash. So why should they spend a lot of money on it?
Well,
True.
at the same time, maybe it's only because they don't do that we have to, right?
I think that
necessarily.
anybody who's going to keep that Jeep stock and drive it on the street and never off-road it or do light off-roading,
right.
they're perfectly fine. It's perfectly fine for that.
Absolutely. No, it's not.
Right?
It's not a road hazard at all by
No,
any means.
not at
but,
all.
But it does when you put some of these heavy duty parts on there. You're going,
a
Like that's
significant
beef.
difference.
Like
Well,
that's
man.
beef,
yeah.
and like I'm surprised it didn't break the first time I used it.
Yeah.
Honestly, like and that's why a lot of people say like they bent this or they bent that on
Yep.
the stock part, and you can see it because you lift it up and you're just like, oh, there's like nothing to it.
Yeah.
And you put that quality part on there, and it's like, oh, like that's
Yeah.
why it's lasting. But with that said, it's not like I went out and just dropped thousands and thousands of dollars on a whim. I saved up.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people kind of forget that. Like, a lot of people I've seen 20, 30, however many thousands of dollars, and they just drop it.
Yeah.
They take a loan, whatever it is, and you don't have to do that, is what I'm saying. Is you can take your time and get a piece here. I did. Like, I got, the Steer Smarts piece first, and then, I got a couple other parts, and then I finally got the lift, and it was like, oh, okay. Like, now I've got everything I want, but it wasn't like this one big massive purchase.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
And
Yeah.
it can all, like, the cool thing about the desert and where we live at is, like, if you were to go out to Tierra del Sol, it'll really give you a good idea. None of that stuff is difficult out there, So if someone were to take their vehicle out there, they could test, like, oh, what's the limits of my vehicle? What is it that I should change? Because there are small things that you can change that really do improve performance off-road. Like, I mean, taking it from the Explorer, which really has gained nothing from all the shit that I've done to it, you kind of start to realize what makes the biggest differences, whether it's new tires, whether it's some sort of form of traction additive, whether it's, a limited slip, a locker, a lunchbox locker, a spool, mini spool, whatever it is. Like, there's totally a whole bunch of different things that you can do that are relatively inexpensive. You just need to figure it out what it is that's, like, keeping you from moving to the next level with your vehicle, moving to the
Yeah.
next trail, doing something a little bit more difficult. So,
Yeah. We have to pick what kind of trail you want to do too. Like,
yeah, where are you going to
do
be
you want
at
to
most
climb
often?
2-foot rocks or do you want to climb 6-foot rocks?
Yeah. You gotta go to-
That's another really important thing of it too, right? Like, so as part of this evaluation process was, what do I really want to be doing with this Jeep?
Right.
How hardcore do I want to go with this Jeep? Now, in the next 10 years, probably not that hardcore. This is going to be a great lift and a great system for what I want to do with it. Maybe not what everybody wants to do with it, but when I'm not making payments on it anymore, I can think about maybe going a little higher, or maybe just turn it into an off-road only vehicle or whatever it is. But like right now, like I want multi-purpose, right? Not, I'm not trying to break it necessarily,
Right.
or beat the shit out of it, and it looks
Yeah.
like some beater, or just totally just demolish, because I am making payments and insurance, and
Yeah.
so that's also another thing. That's like, what are you evaluating your lift kit for now? Or are you going to go and drop 30 grand and you're never going to actually use it? And,
Yeah.
and a lot of people overboard it and then never use it, and they just look it for looks. But why are you spending 30 grand on looks? Like, I
Yeah.
mean,
I think that's that difference of the person. And, this is kind of a generalization, I suppose, because everybody has their own perspectives. Everybody has their own amount of money. Everybody does their own thing. We have some people who spend hundreds of thousands of dollars and, run that rock buggy right off cliffs and roll it over and
Yeah.
have a good old time with it. But sometimes you have these people who invest all this money initially, and then they're a little afraid to use it because they see the big investment. They don't see the small little investments, the waste of money that we
Yeah.
have, like over here. They see that big number and they're like, "Fuck, I'm not gonna take that thing out and break an
I just
axle.
dropped
That's
50
ridiculous."
grand on extra parts, whereas we spend like $500 at a time.
Yeah,
So it's a
just
little,
like once or twice a week.
and we just never add it up. Just don't add it up.
Just don't add it up is really the real,
Yeah.
takeaway from this.
Don't add it up. It
It's-
costs what it costs.
It's like the stepping stones too, like obviously you did Gold Mountain and it was like, yeah, it was rad, like I'm glad we made it through that. And it's like, all right, well what's the next thing? Like what it's what made you like want to go to that next step, right? Because it's like, well, how nice would it be to just have a couple more inches of ground clearance, or just have that little extra bit of this, little extra bit of that. But it's cool because you can find that weak link, like we were saying. It's you find the weak link, all right, what's next? I want to do that.
Right.
I want to do that. I want to do that. And all of a sudden it's like you're actually doing it with a purpose. You're not just buying it to buy it.
That's
which
true.
I think is the important part.
Yeah.
Is like there's a lot of things where it's like I want that to be more usable. I want that to be more. I don't really need to worry about that. That needs to be better.
When we were gonna go to King of the Hammers, and I kind of like to prepare for trips, and that's the way that I improve the vehicle. Like, okay, we're gonna go here. Like, what is it that I have to do to obtain that? And I knew we were gonna go to King of the Hammers. I knew me and you were gonna haul ass at night and try to go up to Chocolate Thunder and watch that. And I knew we were gonna haul ass to go out to the pits, the remote pits, and just have a good old time. But
Yeah.
so I'm like, okay, for the Explorer, that was when I was kind of functioning around the bump stops. I was like, well, I'm gonna be in the dirt, going fast. I'm gonna be smashing down on whoops and shit like that. Like
Yeah.
that's something that I think is gonna be imperative for this trip, is trying to figure a way to make that work. And
Yeah.
whether as we were going to John Bull, I was like, dude, I need
Just
armor.
something,
I need
something.
armor. So, each time you kind of learn a little bit more, and at the end of it, you realize that you should have just done it all in the beginning.
Yeah, I'm kind of at that. I mean, with the Jeep now, like the trails that I've done so far, which is only a few, it's like, well, what do I want for John Bull? And like as right now, like I have a locker in the rear, I have 35s, I have the long arm kit, I have, like it's pretty
you have
well.
that sick Dana 30 in the
Dana
front.
30
Woo!
just ready to
I can't
grenade.
wait. What is
Yeah,
that?
just
Ready to
boom, So for me,
You're gonna
it's
bring
like,
your
alright,
spare front axles, right?
for sure.
Okay,
All
good,
yeah,
good,
for
6 of
sure.
them.
All 6 of them. I do have like 3 sets,
Yeah,
but
you're-
which is great, like yeah, but Dana 30 just brings 7 pairs of axles.
ring gear first.
Yeah. And so for me, it's like, all right, well, I'd like to have like my oil pan protected. So it's like,
Yeah.
you know what, maybe in the next week or so, I'm going to get the oil pan kind of taken care of and like make sure that's all settled. But maybe a winch. Like, would it be nice to have a winch? Don't really need it, but it'd be nice,
The
Yeah,
shitty-
well, most of us that are going have that. So as long as you be by one of us who has a winch, it
Exactly,
could be save
so-
that for next trip.
Yeah.
Shitty part is we plan these trips like 2 weeks from when they start, so
And then
we
it's like
just,
mad
we
dash.
cram shit in there. We're
Oh,
like,
yeah.
well, I've been neglecting this.
Yeah, just so you know, if any of you out there listening have your vehicle in our shop right now, we will not be working on it for 2 more weeks.
Yeah.
Sorry. We have to fix our own cars.
I mean, we have business
That
meetings.
is not a good business motto. By
It's
the
all
way, we're
about-
not going to be working on your stuff you paid us to work on.
You guys all off road, you understand.
Yeah.
Yesterday, I changed the transmission fluid in my Jeep, and I haven't changed it since we did the Rubicon.
Mm-hmm.
And we've been doing a ton of wheeling since then. And man, when it came out, that I've never smelled transmission
Little
fluid.
burnt.
It smelled like a really, really dirty ashtray. It was so bad. It was so bad. But what do cobbler's kids never have shoes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Plumbers
taking care of
plumbers
everybody
pipes
else.
leak.
Yeah.
That's funny.
So finally did that.
I
so I'm feeling
fully
good.
believe in that too. It's like
Yeah.
it's like, man, I really should just rotate my tires. Nah, I'm not gonna do that. It's not that
Whatever.
important,
Well, yeah, think about it. What we do all day, right? We work on cars, we rotate their tires, do
boats.
the alignment, do all that stuff, and then at 5 o'clock, it's like, okay, I got to do a little bit of work on my car because I got to get it ready for this weekend. And you're like, I just did that all day. I'm not going to do it again. It's like being a tax accountant, right? So you're doing people's taxes all day long. What's the last thing they want to do? Probably go home and do their own taxes, right?
Yeah.
Right.
I gotta do my
Ugh.
taxes.
Oh yeah, I know. I got a lady. She takes care of me.
Well,
Does my taxes.
I just do my own.
I'll screw it up.
TurboTax.
Yeah, TurboTax works. TurboTax works. But yeah, in all reality, I think it when you're talking about going to do these off-road excursions, whatever you have it, everybody's terrain is a little bit different, and you have to evaluate, what you're going to be using it for, how much money you want to spend. But at the end of the day, like, you don't need to waste money on stuff just because I guess other people have it.
Yeah.
As much as just like it is important to go out there, see what you're going to need, and then know your limits, and then change course, get what you got to do to get through it. I think you guys have the advantage of having a boss here that's been through John Bull several times and
It kind of helps.
been up to the Big Bear area several times. It's like a trip, and it's like, hey, like this is having the knowledge of like, oh, that'll be able to handle it.
Right.
Unlike me, where you guys set me up and you're like, we might
Hey,
yeah, you'll make it.
I say we, I mean Brian doesn't mind pushing people's limits, and that's good. We have a good balance on our crew, and I know Brian is the one who Brian and Ken both are the push it, right? Let's really push it, which is good. And then you
Especially
have
when it's someone else's vehicle.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah, not
And
my
then
money.
and then you have the other end of the spectrum, which is more like maybe me and Marty, right?
Mhm.
We're more of the hang back and conservative, like I'll see what Brian and Ken do when they go up it, and then I'll make my own
Yeah.
evaluation because they want to charge hard, which is really good with our group. But like what you were saying, anybody out there who is just getting into this, you do need to go find somebody who does it, right? Before you dump a lot of money into your
Yeah.
rig, go find somebody who does it. Go wheeling with them, listen to them, have your own experiences, get your own data, right? And then make a decision from there. And that's why we're trying to offer more or put it out there more to people when we're going wheeling. So if anybody wants to pick our brains, right? So
Right.
we do like to keep our off-roading groups small, right? So when we go do the Rubicon, there's maybe only going to be 5 or 6 of us, right? Because we want to go enjoy ourselves and not spend a lot of time working on other things. But we do want to we do want to do the other part too. We do want to work with everybody who's new and go out and help them, and that's why we're going to start doing stuff like this John Bull on the 27th, which is, hey, if you show up, that whole day for us is that one trail, and it's dedicated to helping you get through it. It's dedicated to us. You can ask us questions.
Have fun too. It's
I just maybe bring me a sandwich. I'm a hungry guy. I eat a lot, and
a Gatorade. It gets hot out there.
it gets hot, But we totally want to help you out, answer your questions, give you our feedback. If you have a question about a product or something that you're maybe on the fence about, we'll for sure give you our opinion on it. We definitely have no limit of opinions.
Yeah, I would say that's true. So the other thing I wanted to bring up too is getting prepared for a trip like this. It's like I want to bring attention to the small things that you don't think that you're going to need, like as simple as going out and getting, not that you really, really need it, but like a toolkit, right? A good toolkit. Have a toolkit with you at all times. Have
Definitely.
a tow strap at all times. Like if you can't afford onboard air, go get an air tank and have it filled, just so you're self-sufficient enough to figure your own things out, have it jumper cables, like the stupidest things that just would make your day so much better if you ever got into that predicament.
Roll of tape.
A roll of tape, zip ties, like
paper towels.
Yeah, like gloves. I don't know, just any little thing that you could just make yourself a little like to-go baggie that has everything that you need. That you're like, yeah, I'll be good with that. At least if it's anything worse than that, I got to figure that out. That's the worst of the worst.
Right,
But-
and then to add on to that, so what I tell people when they're first putting together their toolkit, right, because they always want to know what tool do I bring. Well, if you work on your own Jeep, every time you work on your Jeep with the toolkit that's in your Jeep. Because then as you get to a point, you're like, oh, I need this wrench. It's not in here. Oh, well, you need that tool then, right? So eventually you find all the tools you're going to need or a big percentage of the tools you're going to need just by using the toolkit that's in your Jeep, not the toolkit that's in your garage. Use the toolkit that's in your Jeep to work on your Jeep. Then you're going to find all the tools that you forgot, right?
Yeah.
And then on that note, too, we've talked a lot in the shop about this alignment class that we want to put on here at the shop. The other thing that I would really like to do is put on a class at the shop about pre-trip and post-trip inspections and how to properly inspect your vehicle before and after a trip and what you can do to help save time. Like today on Josh's Jeep, we put cross-check on every bolt we touched. So now all he has to do is look at them and know that they're torqued and not have to actually go back in there and retorque everything.
And that is like what? Like the cheapest thing that
Yeah, dude.
saves you a ton of
Buy it
time,
on Amazon
right?
for
And
probably like $4.
yeah,
Right.
and it's an incredible like, oh yeah, like that's what an idea is that? And I mean,
And they use it. I mean, it's used in with airplanes and stuff, right? That's really
right,
where
it's
it
like
came
a fluorescent like hardening paste, and
Right.
it basically tells you that your bolts have
Yeah,
moved
look
or
it
your-
up
your
on
nuts haven't
Amazon.
moved, right? Yeah,
from.
and
It's called cross check.
right, it's that was impressive. Along and everything you mentioned is I think very important stuff. The alignment stuff that you guys are doing in there, like some of the stuff was like what the fuck are these dudes doing? Like,
Why do they have a
and I'm
string?
just shutting up and just watching, and I'm like, you guys knew what you were doing, and I remember just thinking, I have no fucking idea what these guys are doing.
Like they're
And
hitting
it
each other
wasn't
with
because-
sticks. I don't know what they're doing.
No, it wasn't because like I'm not an intelligent person, but these are like these tricks of the trade that you guys know that are
Right.
just invaluable for somebody that wants to, like what if like our system crashes, right? And you like can't go get an alignment, but you still need your vehicle, or right, like some of these things that we depend on, and it's like you can get it
Yeah.
really close all on your own, and most people
Yep.
are like, I gotta take it to a shop to have that done. I mean, that's incredible. Like, I mean, honestly, like you shouldn't be telling people all your secrets. That's how you make your money. But
Yeah, but you know what? To be honest with you, I hate doing alignments, so I will teach everyone how to do it. Just
Come on down.
but and that's so on that topic. I think that's like probably the most impactful thing that our friendship between you and I, Dave, as limited as it's been, has meant. Because I went off and I got in this Jeep thing, and I went off and I went with my family, and I came across these random bunch of Jeepers, and they didn't know me from nothing, right? Like, and they almost, you know, they kind of brought me in like, here's a radio, like, oh, here, we'll get you, you know, and it was this, you know, when I got done with it, I think the best feeling wasn't getting through the trail at all. I think the best feeling was going like, this is an awesome group of people to be associated with.
Yeah.
And that, bar none, honestly, like, is probably the best part about Jeeping is you know, not the Jeep wave. It's not any of the other, you know, I got this cool rig, none of that other bullshit. It's the people taking care of people and enjoying a hobby and actually like giving impactful insight and guidance on things where it's not, you know, filled full of like greed and profit, right? Like
Right.
I've
Yeah.
seen so many people give out so much credible information that saves people so much money, and it's all because they care about the community in a way.
Right.
And I've seen a lot of people say, oh, the GP community is going on hill, da da da, but it's not because of people like you. And so like I thank you guys for bringing me into that, because it's kept me in it and it's given me a passion for it, and you know, wanted to make it a better place. And it's also why I started doing the videos, because it's like, hey, like anybody wants to do this stuff, and it's, you know, the easiest thing to do is watch somebody else do it so you don't screw up your own shit.
Right.
And so, you know, a lot of things is like, okay, take your time and then make a video about how to do this, you know. And so with that said, you know, like what you guys did, showing me how what you guys do is take your time. Yeah, like I could probably get a lot of this done, some of the fine tuning stuff, maybe not, but at the end of the day, I have a good idea what's going on, and that's all. Like, here's how you would do it if you want to get most of it done and have us even finish it up, whatever it is, right?
Yep.
And that's, I think, what the community is about, is we're going to get you most of the way there. You know, you got to do a little research, you got to do a little bit of take a little bit of your own time and learn things on your own, but at the same time, like, the community is amazing.
Yeah, the off-road community is rad. It is. I mean, even these guys, when they got to go. So I come from some racing background, and in racing, everything is a secret. Nobody knows anything about what you're doing, right? Because you want to win the race, right? And there is that even in off-road racing, right? But the difference between what I've seen in the limited amount of asphalt racing versus off-road racing is that the asphalt racing, you didn't really help the other guy much ever. But I know that you guys experience this thing, King of the Hammers. Even though there's cars out there that are super trick and dialed in and have some really elaborate suspension systems that are witchcraft that they're not going to tell their secrets on because they still want to win the race.
Yeah.
But if they come into a pit stop and their pit's having a problem,
You change their tire.
you go over there and you help them change their tire, even though they're the competition.
Yeah.
Because it's still the off-road community. So even though these guys are racing to win, you're still helping the competition, which just
They
shows
want the best of you,
right.
right?
It just shows that the off-road community, even in a competitive, ultra competitive situation, is still willing to stop what they're doing and just help you.
That was a top tier class and a top tier race. I mean, that race has grown substantially in the
Yeah, it
last,
is, dude.
you know, like
Yeah.
what, decade or so.
Mhm.
And to see like some random dude come up into your tent and go, "Hey man, we need to weld something. Like, can we borrow your generator? Like, we don't have one that's good enough." And you go, "Yeah, man. Like, boss said it's okay. Go ahead and take it." And you know, the boss comes over and he goes, "Yeah, this is what I use to power my house when the power goes out. So I need it back." You know, and then the guy comes back with a full tank of gas in it. Like, fuck, man, we weren't gonna be able to be in the race if it wasn't for this. Like, thank you so much. You know, it's like, that's cool. And then I ended up seeing the guy a day later, and he's like watching me run through the pits because I'm running back to go get parts, and he's like, "Oh, I'll pick you up in my golf cart," you know, driving you back over to your pits. And like, dude, everybody was just super, super homey when it came to that place. It was really rad to see.
Off-road community is rad, for
Yeah,
sure.
It's a total like pay it forward thing, you know,
Yeah.
like total pay it forward thing.
Yeah.
I was watching the King of the Hammers. So I live like less than an hour away from Johnson Valley,
Right.
right? And I've wanted to go ever since I've lived up there. Basically, I found out about it. I was like, hey, like I want, like, even before having a Jeep, right? Like, that's crazy these dudes are doing. And it's gotten bigger and bigger and bigger.
Huge.
And you know, for years, right? Like my work got in the way. Like I can't go, right? 2 years ago, the weather was awful. I don't know if you guys went up there, but
we were there.
raining,
Snowing and shit.
It snowed on
trash.
us.
I mean, that,
Yeah.
I was like, I'm
Yeah.
just like, sorry, it's not happening. Like, I'm too much of a pretty boy for that one. Like, it's like I'm not gonna freeze my ass off.
It was
I did
cold.
this.
It was
I
so
did
cold,
this.
yeah.
And see, it's just like that breaks me off. Like the military broke me off. Like I'm like, I don't want to deal with that. No. Like so sometimes I'm just like, no, I'm good. You know. So I was like, oh, next year. So this last year I was in Denver. So I was watching it on YouTube, going, "Oh man, and yet another year." Like, just
Yeah.
and I remember watching what you guys were talking about. One of the vehicles, right? Like something happened with their tire, right? And like another racer dropped off a tire for them to put on.
Yeah.
Like you're like, come on, like
That's
and
not real.
but that's no, but it's again, it's the community nature of that, being involved in it, and man, it's an amazing thing. So if you're thinking about getting into it, it's worth it just on that.
Yep. Off-roading
you guys
is
take care
fun.
of people, we take care of people. It's just that's what you do, pull
Yep.
people out of being stuck. I don't know,
That's
big
it.
deal. I mean, there's even crews that like they have their radios or whatever it is, and they have their little Facebook thing, right? Like you get stuck and you're like hitting them up, like, oh, we'll be out there. And
Oh,
they
yeah.
come
I've
save
done
you
that
from
before.
from being at home, and they come save you.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right.
And key, very important, and I still stick by this, even being as limited with experience as I have, especially because of that. You don't off road alone.
Mm-hmm.
You don't
Absolutely
off-road
not.
off road alone.
Nope.
And if you think you're gonna get stuck, make sure you have plenty of beer in your cooler because the guy who's gonna get you unstuck usually just wants a beer,
yeah.
Yeah. It's
right?
true.
Right? Like you have
Yeah.
a cold beer waiting for them after they get you unstuck, then yeah,
They're
good to go.
stoked. They might
That's a
even
pretty
hang
good
out
idea.
for a second.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, better than cash. Everybody
is
says, "I'll have some
true.
cash." No, just
Nah,
have
just-
beers.
Case of beer.
Yeah, it always works out.
A case. Fuck.
Well, all right. Josh has got to drive all the way back to Hesperia. So let's wrap it up. I think we had a fun day in the shop working on the JL. It was rad hanging out with you, Josh. And
Absolutely.
hopefully
Yeah, you
we'll
guys
get
are
to
great.
hang out again at John Bull. If not this time, then next time.
Right.
And we'll definitely hook up and do some wheeling up in your neck of the woods, maybe some
Abs-
Johnson Valley.
Absolutely. You guys, thank you for having me. You guys have been a class act. I would bring my vehicle here any day, and I would recommend anybody to come here. This shop is just wholesome off-road, taking the time to do what they're doing, and I can't recommend you guys enough. So thank you for bringing me in to be able to see that. It was a privilege.
Thanks, Josh. I appreciate all the
Absolutely.
words, man. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. See you next
And-
time, everybody.
And
All
John
right.
Bull, June 27th.
9 o'clock.
9 o'clock.
9
We'll
o'clock.
go with 9.
Bye.
Bring beer.
This has been the Bent Motorsports Podcast. Thanks for listening in. Be sure to give us a follow on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube at Bent Motorsports. Stay updated on the latest happenings, future projects, videos, and events here at the shop. Remember, guys, at Bent Motorsports, bids in stock,